Okay, and welcome to our Google Classroom course in Google Classroom. Anyways, just wanted to start trying something different to where, continuing to send you the content like I'm trying to do video in the past because I know it can be a lot more user friendly as far as your time and your schedule. Plus, you can go back to it. So, wanted to put these videos together. Plus, it's something you can go back and you can visit it again and again. And so, what we're going to do in this course is I'm going to do some of the basics and nuts and bolts, which I get some of you have already gotten down, but I just felt like it needed to be a part of it for those of you that hadn't. So, I'll go through some of the basics and getting set up and just kind of and we'll do that in this video, cover some of the why. Do I think Google Classroom is a great tool, and then we'll go from there. So I do want to kind of do the why. So I will tell you just from a big picture perspective. I know there's a lot of other options out there, but I think Google Classroom is great because, for one, kids' passwords are controlled from the admin console, and if it's another platform, ones we've used in the past, if a kid changes that password, then we have to, go figure it out or hope they remember it. It can be kind of a hassle. So this way we get a little more control. But the bigger thing is, Google being rated in so much stuff and third-party apps, which we'll see in another video. I think it's just going to be a continually growing and expanding tool, and it won't be a deal where you have to learn this and go learn the new thing because something better came out. And so I think it's going to be a more steady, long-term kind of growth platform to where we can keep doing the same thing year to year, which I know is always a big win in teaching. So the other reason why in this, when I first got into teaching, I was teaching SPED. I had, I think, 7 different preps. And didn't have a conference period actually because of some misunderstandings on my part, and I volunteered to help in another class at a different hour. Anyways, so I was drowning and and struggling with some different things. And so the reason that I got technology and started liking it was because it just made certain things that I struggled with a little better. And so, for example, it started with just using PowerPoint, which at the time was innovative. And really, the reason I did it, my handwriting stunk, and so my kids couldn't read my notes. And so there was that. The other reason being, I floated from room to room. I was in a different room every single class period. I had to carry my textbooks. It was a whole mess. And so keeping up with papers or all those kinds of things, it just became a mess. So doing PowerPoint helped out. And so that was the first piece of it. And then when I switched to current technology, it was the same thing. 700 classes, had to write my own curriculum. There was, so I had to kind of get ahead of the game. And so the next thing I did, I basically made a class blog. To what happened was every day I posted a video of my lesson, notes, worksheets, if there was extra links, resources, handouts I wanted them to have. Created all of that. And then what would happen is at the end of the year, the semester, all I had to do was change the date. It would pop those lessons back to the top, and my lesson planning was done. So I lesson planned for a year, and then I never really had to do it again. And what happened then, sometimes I got to relax, but more importantly, I got to take time to invest in making my lessons better, which made teaching more enjoyable. I got to take those lessons that were just dying, and I knew they were. And instead of being frustrated, going, "Oh, we got to do this one again," because it's in the teeth, going, "How do I make this better?" And so I know and I've experienced there's a way to take a lot of the stress out, to take a lot of those frustrations out of teaching, to handle to make it seem like there is more time in the day, because no matter what we do, there's always going to be more responsibilities, more things happening. And so just doing as much as you can to be prepared for that. And so that was the thing for me. And so not only did I want you to experience that, but bigger picture, when you think about technology, you think about Google Classroom, to me, it's going, okay, what are 1, 2, 3 things that I struggle with, and how can I improve in those areas and make life better in those areas to where those aren't struggles anymore? We don't have to accept that it's a struggle and it's hard. There can be an improvement. There can be a way to make it better. And I think for most of the scenarios I've thought of, Classroom helps to kind of fill in that gap in different ways. And so we'll see that throughout this course. We'll talk about some different things. I'll give you some different strategies, and then I'll be honest, there's going to be some hangouts depending on what grade you teach about what exactly you can implement. So first lesson, we're going to do the basics and just getting set up. And then from then on, we'll start doing some videos of just some practical applications of how you can use Classroom in your classroom. And then you can kind of pick and choose what do you think is going to work for you or what do you need. So as far as getting set up, a couple things. You can either go to classroom.google.com. Okay, that's one of the options. Or if you go to Gmail and do the app launcher and click more, go all the way down to the bottom, Classroom is there as well. So that option's there. The other thing I will tell you, anything you see in this course can be done in the desktop version or the app version, as far as I've been able to tell. So it's very mobile friendly, which is nice, because if you forget something and you're sitting at home watching TV at night, or you're drinking coffee in the morning, you can take care of it really quick. Or maybe those moments are the only downtime you get where you can kind of get ahead of the game. And so you can do your lesson planning and your preparation right on your mobile device. Speaking of that, one other thing I'll throw out as far as getting set up, getting started, I would download to your mobile device or devices Google Drive, Gmail, Docs, Slides, and Sheets, and Classroom. We'll forget Classroom. So Google Drive, Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Classroom, and Chrome. Those are all apps you can download to your Android or your iOS devices. And when you do that, you log in once to your school account, and it syncs all your accounts. All of the apps are then logged in, and it just makes a lot of different things seamless. Even, in Gmail app, you can attach files from Drive. You can do things in Chrome. It's great. And so I suggest starting there as well as you think about getting set up. So if you need to pause, do that real quick, come back. So here's what happens. You can see I've got a lot of classes. You can have unlimited classes, but here's how you create one. You just go plus, create class, and then you name it, okay? So I'm going to call this PD Video Class Course, okay? You're going to see how there's sections and subjects. That is purely for your bookkeeping, record-keeping purposes. It doesn't actually section things off for you to where you have one class and just break it up into groups. That'd be a really cool feature, and hopefully they'll figure that out someday, but they haven't yet. So that's it. You just click create, and depending on your internet connection, it will create your class, and you're done. That's it. Now, for those of you that care, you can select the theme, you can upload a photo, you can change all of these things, and you just kind of decide what it is that you want to do to improve or design your class. Those things are up to you. I'm not big on that, so I'm not going to mess with it. That's it. You just click, you create. So if you've got 7 sections that you want to do or need to do, you can just pop through them that quickly, and you can wrap it up. Now, so that's kind of the initial just setup. You've set up a class, you've created one, and again, you can name it. Now, as far as navigating the initial setup, obviously, you need students, right? So there's a couple of different things. You can give them a class code. If you give them the class code, what happens is that same plus sign that you clicked in order to create your class, they would go in to join the class, and they would put in that code, and they could do it that way. So that is one way that they could do the class. The other thing is you can invite kids. So you could type in their name or their email. Most of them get loaded, the second that they enroll and register, pretty close to it. And so they should be in there. And so you can do that way as well. And you can get an invite. It'll go to their inbox. My suggestion probably would be is as quickly as you can, whether you can get devices or have them do it on mobile devices, maybe a homework assignment, the first one, give them that class code and have them go. Because I've ran into some issues. They should come through, but be it they can't navigate their inbox or they're just making up stories. Sometimes they might struggle. So if you give them the code, you're good to go. So you can do all that. Then you also have control. You can decide if they can post and comment, if they can only comment, only teachers can post or comment. So you get those options as well. And so that's all there. The other thing I want to show you is a different class. So that's how you get your kids in there, and they're in. Let me find one that I know has, I'll use the high school class from last year. So if you go to students, this feature actually got added like the day we first talked about Google Classroom. And you can actually invite guardians. So you can type in the guardian email address, and here's the benefit to that. If you do, they'll get an invite, and then there's settings they can do, and they'll get a weekly summary of what's happening. So what you did last week, what's coming up this week, what was due, what's past due, what their kid hasn't done. And so it's all that feedback and connection that's automated for you. And for me, what a lot of this is, and one of the big benefits of having this kind of web presence, is that there's built-in documentation. There's timestamps of, I created this then, I was due then, they knew it, I did it. And it makes your parents feel better, the parents feel better, but also it's just a simple thing of going, hey, I can tell you, I did what I was supposed to do. So that's an option. Now, if you don't have parent emails, if you'll let me know, I go into Texas and pull the parent emails for your rosters. It'll take me a little bit, but I can do it. Or again, maybe just first day kind of thing, and parent information sheets, whatever, however you do that, collecting that info in a Google form, you could get that info and put it in. It's work up front, but just think about the time it saves in the long run of that feedback going straight to the parent. Also want to say on this or any feature, if you need some more detailed information that the video didn't cover, let me know. We can get together one-on-one and we can talk about it. You'll see this action button as well. If you had kids in there, you can choose to mute kids. So if you want to do the discussion activities, we'll talk about in later videos, and some kids can't handle it or aren't handling it properly, you can mute them and they miss out, and that can affect their grade or however you want to control and manage your classroom. So that stuff's still been built into there. The about screen. So you can put some info. The big thing is, though, you can add class materials. So if you've got rules, things like that, you can set that in there. So rules, syllabus, whatever the case may be. There's certain sites you want them to use in research. You can add those things in there, and that's all about page. So those things that you know they're going to need often or you want them to review back to a lot, I would put that there in the class materials. You can also invite teachers. So if you want to have a co-teacher or you do have a co-teacher, you can do it here. If you're on a team, the other thing is if you want to invite me as a teacher, I can get in there and troubleshoot. So if something's up, I'm not sure, or I get there, you invite me as a teacher, I can pop in, work on it, check it, and then I can pop back out and delete myself if you so choose or prefer. So that's there as well. So those things, students, parents, and the about, you're pretty much set up and you're ready to go. So it's pretty simple. And I will say this too, we're talking about the muting and all those kinds of things. What's cool is since you're doing a lot of this stuff in Google and Drive and Docs and using those things, those timestamps, the revision history, all that kind of stuff, there's also a lot of things in there that can help with, I'm not going to say preventing, but limiting cheating. Because if you think about it, going way back when, we used to, write answers on our hands or get together and do work on the way in a circle in the morning, whatever it was. Not that we should have done it, but we did. So cheating's nothing new and it's not going to go away. But I get with technology, it's kind of ramped up. And the more you use technology, the more there's the possibility of opening up to more cheating. Google has a lot of tools, probably not intentionally, but they do have things built in that are going to help to prevent that. And that's the other benefit of kind of using that. So make sure you get a class set up. As soon as you can, get your students invited. Invite teachers if you need to. I highly encourage you to do the Guardian invite. Okay. It's going to make communication easy and automated, which is great. And then this about thing. And then with that automating communication and feedback, another piece of this that we'll see come up again and again is the fact that there are those things that we know are best practices as teachers, communicating with parents regularly, instant feedback to kids. But we know in the reality of the real world, it's hard to actually implement those things because of all the stuff we have on our plate and have on our schedules. So if you can figure out ways to utilize these tools, then you can do those things that you know are best and finally get the chance to do it. And so it's giving you that opportunity without adding extra time into your schedule and extra things onto your already overloaded plate. And so that's the other great thing I like about it. So you may be sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, I still need to set up my room and think about this. I'm teaching a new course this year and I've got to learn the curriculum or I've got to pass the test. Here's the thing. The work is mainly all done up front when you're thinking about this kind of technology, and then it frees you up so much down the road. So it is worth it. So I highly encourage you, start getting set up, lay it out, watch the videos. Next time we're going to go through the basics of the stream and the options there. And then from there, I'll start to break down some specific applications about how I think you can not only use this, but how it's going to make your life as a teacher 100 times better.